him the second loss of his career. After initially considering retirement, Ali won a controversial decision against Norton in their second bout. This led to a rematch with Joe Frazier at Madison Square Garden on January 28, 1974. Frazier had recently lost his title to George Foreman. Ali was strong in the early rounds of the fight and staggered Frazier in the second round. Referee Tony Perez mistakenly thought he heard the bell ending the round and stepped between the two fighters as Ali was pressing his attack, giving Frazier time to recover. However, Frazier came on in the middle rounds, napping Ali's head in round 7 and driving him to the ropes at the end of round 8. The last 4 rounds saw round-to-round shifts in momentum between the two fighters throughout most of the bout. However, Ali was able to circle away from Frazier's dangerous left hook and to tie Frazier up into his corner. The latter, a tactic that Frazier's camp complained bitterly. Judges awarded Ali a unanimous decision. Main article: The Rumble in the Jungle. The defeat of Frazier set the stage for a title fight against heavyweight champion George Foreman in Kinshasa, Zaire, on October 30th, 1974, a bout nicknamed the Rumble in the Jungle. Foreman was considered one of the hardest punchers in heavyweight history. In assessing the fight, analysts pointed out that Joe Frazier and Ken Norton, who had given Ali 4 tough battles and won 2 of them, had both been devastated by Foreman in second-round knockouts. Ali was 32 years old and had clearly lost speed and reflexes since his 20s. Contrary to his later persona, Foreman was at the time a brooding and intimidating presence. Almost no one associated with the sport, not even Ali's longtime supporter Howard Cosell, gave the former champion the chance of winning. As usual, Ali was confident and colorful before the fight. He told interviewer David Frost, "If you think the world was surprised when Nixon resigned, wait till I whoop Foreman's behind," he told the press. "I've done something new for this fight. I done wrestled with an alligator. I done tussled with a whale, handcuffed lightning, thrown thunder in jail only last week. I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean I make medicine sick." Ali was wildly popular in Zaire, with crowds chanting Ali Bomie Ali, kill him, wherever he went. Ali opened the fight moving and scoring with right crosses to Foreman's head. Then beginning in the second round, and to the consternation of his corner, Ali retreated to the ropes and invited Foreman to hit him while covering up, clinching and counter-punching, all while verbally taunting Foreman. The move, which would later become known as the rope-a-dope, so violated conventional boxing wisdom, letting one of the hardest hitters in boxing strike at one that ringside writer George Plimpton thought the fight had to be fixed. Foreman, increasingly angered, threw punches that were deflected and did not land squarely. Midway through the fight, as Foreman began tiring, Ali countered more frequently and effectively with punches and flurries, which electrified the pro-Ali crowd. In the 8th round, Ali dropped and exhausted Foreman with a combination that sent the ring. Foreman failed to make it count. Against the odds, and amidst pandemonium in the ring, Ali had regained the title by knockout. Reflecting on the fight, George Foreman later said, "I thought Ali was just one more knockout victim until about the 7th round. I hit him hard to the jaw and he held me and whispered in my ear, 'That all you got?' George, I realized that this ain't what I thought it was. It was a major upset victory. After Ali came in as a 4-1 underdog against the previously unbeaten, heavy-hitting Foreman. The fight became famous for Ali's introduction of the rope-a-dope tactic. The fight was watched by a record-estimated television audience of 1 billion viewers worldwide. It was the world's most watched television broadcast at the time. Ali's next opponents included Chuck Wepner, Ron Lyle, and Joe Buckner. Wepner, a journeyman known as the Bayonne Bleeder, stunned Ali with a knockdown in the 9th round. Ali would later say he tripped on Wepner's foot. It was a bout that would inspire Sylvester Stallone to create the acclaimed film Rocky. Main article: Thriller in Manila. Ali then agreed to a 3rd match with Joe Frazier in Manila. The bout, known as the Thriller in Manila, was held on October 1st in 1975 in temperature approaching 100 Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius. In the first rounds, Ali was aggressive, moving and exchanging blows with Frazier. However, Ali soon appeared to tire and adopted the rope-a-dope strategy. frequently resorting to clinches. During this part of the bout, Ali did some effective counter-punching, but for the most part absorbed punishment from a relentlessly attacking Frazier. In the 12th round, Frazier began to tire, and Ali scored several sharp blows that closed Frazier's left eye and opened a cut over his right eye. With Frazier's vision now diminished, Ali dominated the 13th and 14th rounds, at times conducting what boxing historian Mike Silver called target practice on Frazier's head. The fight was stopped when Frazier's trainer Eddie Fudge refused to allow Frazier to answer the bell for the 15th and final round, despite Frazier's protests. Frazier's eyes were both swollen shut. Ali, in his corner, winner by TKO, slumped on his stool, clearly spent. And Ali said afterwards that the fight was the closest thing to dying that he knew, and when later asked if he had viewed the fight on videotape, reportedly said, "Why would I want to go back and see hell?" After the fight, he cited Frazier as the greatest fighter of all times next to me. After the third fight with Frazier, Ali considered retirement. He said, "I'm sore all over. My arms, my face, my sides all ache. I'm so tired. There is a great possibility that I will retire. You might have seen the last of me. I want to sit back and count my money within my house and my farm, work for my people and concentrate on my family, following the Manila bout, Ollie fought young Pierre Cooper, Jimmy Young, and Richard Dunn, winning the last by knockout. The punch used to knock them out was taught to Ali by Taekwondo Grandmaster Junior He called the punch the Aku punch. He learned it from Bruce Lee. The Dunn fight was the last time Ali would knock down an opponent in his boxing career. Ali fought Ken Norton for the third time in September 1976. The bout, which was held at Yankee Stadium, resulted in Ali winning a heavily contested decision that was loudly booed by the audience. Afterwards, he announced he was retiring from boxing to practice his faith, having converted to Sunni Islam after falling out with the Nation of Islam the previous year. After returning to beat Alfredo Evangelista in May 1977, Ali struggled in his next fight against Ernie Shavers that September, getting pummeled a few times by punches to the head. Ali won the fight by another unanimous decision, but the bout caused his longtime doctor Ferdy Pacheco to quit after he was rebuffed for telling Ali he should retire. Pacheco was quoted as saying, "The New York State Athletic Commission gave me a report that showed Ali's kidneys were falling apart. I wrote to Angelo Dundee, Ali's trainer, his wife, and Ali himself. I got nothing back in response. That's when I decided enough is enough." In February 1978, Ali faced Leon Spinks at the Hilton Hotel in Las Vegas. At the time, Spinks had only 7 professional fights to his credit and had recently fought a draw with journeyman Scott Ledoux. Ali sparred less than 24 rounds in preparation for the fight and was seriously out of shape by the opening bell. He lost the title by split decision. A rematch occurred in September at the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. 70,000 people attended the bout and paid a total of $6 million admission, making it the largest live gate in boxing history at that time. Ali won a unanimous decision in an uninspiring fight, with referee Lucien Joubert scoring rounds 10-4, Judge Ali Kojo 10-4, and Judge Herman Price 11-4. This made Ali the first heavyweight champion to win the belt 3 times. Following this win on July 27, 1979, Ali announced his retirement from boxing. His retirement was short-lived, however. Ali announced his comeback to face Larry Holmes for the WBC belt in an attempt to win the heavyweight championship, an unprecedented 4th time. The fight was largely motivated by Ali's need for money. Boxing writer Richie Giachetti said, "Larry didn't want to fight Ali. He knew Ali had nothing left. He knew it would be a horror." It was around this time that Ali started struggling with hope stutters and trembling hands. The Nevada Athletic Commission NAC ordered that he undergo a complete physical in Las Vegas before being allowed to fight again. Ali chose instead to check into the Mayo Clinic, who declared him fit to fight. Their opinion was accepted by the NAC on July 31st, 1980, paving the way for Ali's return to the ring. The fight took place on October 2nd, 1980 in Las Vegas Valley, with Holmes easily dominating Ali, who was weakened from thyroid medication he had taken to lose weight. Giachetti called the fight awful, the worst sports event I ever had to cover, Actor Sylvester Stallone was at ringside and said that it was like watching an autopsy on the man who is still alive. After the 10th round, Angelo Dundee told the referee to stop the fight, making it the only time that Ali ever lost by stoppage. The Holmes fight is said to have contributed to Ali's Parkinson's syndrome. Despite pleas to definitively retire, Ali fought one last time on December 11, 1981 in Nassau, Bahamas, against Trevor Berbick, losing a 10-round decision. By the end of his boxing career, Ali had absorbed an estimated 200,000 hits. On June 26, 1976, Ali participated in an exhibition bout in Tokyo against Japanese professional wrestler and martial artist Antonio Inoki. Ali was only able to land 2 jabs while Inoki's kicks caused blood clots and an infection that almost resulted in Ali's leg being amputated. As a result of Ali's team insisting on rules restricting Inoki's ability to wrestle, the match was not scripted and ultimately declared a draw. After Ali's death, the New York Times declared it its least memorable fight. Most boxing commentators at the time viewed the fight negatively and hoped it would be forgotten, as some considered it a 15-round farce. Today it is considered by some to be one of Ali's most influential fights, and CBS Sports said the attention the mixed style bout received foretold the arrival of standardized MMA mixed martial arts. Years later, after the fight, Ali and Inoki became friends. In 1979, Ali fought an exhibition match against NFL player Lal Alzado. The fight went 8 rounds and was declared a draw. Ali fought NHL player Dave Semenko in an exhibition on June 12, 1983. The match was officially a draw after going 3 rounds, but the Associated Press reported Ali was not seriously trying and was just toying with Semenko. Ali was married 4 times and has 7 daughters and 2 sons. Ali was introduced to cocktail waitress Sanji Roy by Herbert Muhammed and asked her to marry him after their first date. They were wed approximately 1 month later, on August 14, 1964. They quarreled over Sanji's refusal to join the Nation of Islam. According to Ali, she wouldn't do what she was supposed to do. She wore lipstick, she went into bars, she dressed in clothes that were revealing and didn't look right. The marriage was childless and they divorced on January 10, 1966. Just before the divorce was finalized, Ali sent Sanji a note. "You traded heaven for hell, baby." Ali's brother Rahman said that she was Ali's only true love and the Nation of Islam made Ali divorce her, and Ali never got over it. On August 17, 1967, Ali married Belinda Boyd, born into a Chicago family that had converted to the Nation of Islam. She later changed her name to Khalila Ali, though she was still called Belinda by old friends and family. They had 4 children, author and rapper Mara May, born 1968, twins Jamila and Rashida, born 1970, who married Robert Walsh and has a son, Bayeggio Ali, born in 1998, and Muhammad Ali Jr., born 1972. Ali was a resident of Cherry Hill, New Jersey in the early 1970s. At age 32 in 1974, Ali began an extramarital relationship with 16-year-old Wanda Bolton, who subsequently changed her name to Agia. While still married to Belinda, Ali married Asha at an Islamic ceremony that was not legally recognized. According to Kalia, Asha and her mother lived at Ali's Deer Lake training camp alongside Belinda and her children. In January 1985, Asha sued Ali for unpaid palimony. The case was settled when Ali agreed to set up a $200,000 trust fund for Kalia. In 2001, Kalia was quoted as saying she believed her father viewed her as a mistake. He had another daughter, Mia, born 1972, from an extramarital relationship with Patricia Harvell. By the summer of 1977, his second marriage ended due to Ali's repeated infidelity, and he had married actress and model Veronica Porcher. At the time of their marriage, they had a daughter, Hannah, and Veronica was pregnant with their second child. Their second daughter, Layla Ali, was born in December 1977. By 1986, Ali and Porcher were divorced due to Ali's continuous infidelity. Porcher said of Ali's infidelity, "It was too much temptation for him with women who threw themselves at him. It didn't mean anything. He didn't have affairs. he had one-night stands. I knew beyond a doubt there were no feelings involved. It was so obvious it was easy to forgive him. On November 19, 1986, Ali married Yolanda Lonnie Williams. Lonnie first met Ali at the age of 6 when her family moved to Louisville in 1963. In 1982, she became Ali's primary caregiver, and in return, he paid for her to attend graduate school at UCLA. Together, they adopted a son, Asad Amin, born 1986, when Asad was 5 months old. In 1992, Lonnie incorporated Greatest of All Time, incorporated GOAT, incorporated to consolidate and license his intellectual properties for commercial purposes. She served as the vice president and treasurer until the sale of the company in 2006. Kiarsti Menseli says she is Ali's biological daughter with Barbara Mensa, with whom he allegedly had a 20-year relationship, citing photographs and a paternity test conducted in 1988. She said he accepted responsibility and took care of her, but all contacts with him were cut off after he married his fourth wife, Lonnie. Kiarsti says she has a relationship with his other children. After his death, she again made passionate appeals to be allowed to mourn at his funeral. In 2010, Osmond Williams came forward claiming to be Ali's biological son. His mother, Timika Williams, also known as Rebecca Holloway, launched a $3 million lawsuit against Ali in 1981 for sexual assault, claiming that she had started a sexual relationship with him when she was 12, and that her son Osmond, born 1977, was fathered by Ali. She further alleged that Ali had originally supported her and her son financially, but stopped doing so after 4 years. The case went on until 1986 and was eventually thrown out as her allegations were deemed to be barred by the statute of limitations. According to Veronica, Ali admitted to the affair with Williams, but did not believe Osmond was his son, which Veronica supported by saying everybody in the camp was going with that girl. Ali biographer and friend Thomas Hauser has said this claim was of questionable veracity. Ali then lived in Scottsdale, Arizona with Lonnie. In January 2007, it was reported that they had put their home in Berrien Springs, Michigan, which they had bought in 1975, up for sale and had purchased a home in eastern Jefferson County, Kentucky for $1,875,000. Both homes were subsequently sold after Ali's death, with Lonnie living in their remaining home in Paradise Valley, Arizona. Lonnie converted to Islam from Catholicism in her late 20s. In an interview in 1974, Ali said, "If they say stand and salute the flag, I do that out of respect, because I'm in the country." Ali would later say, "If America was in trouble and real war came, I'd be on the front line if we had been attacked. But I could see that the Vietnam War wasn't right." He also said, "Black men would go over there and fight, but when they came home, they couldn't even be served a hamburger." Ali's daughter Layla was a professional boxer from 1999 until 2007, despite her father's previous opposition to women's boxing. In 1978, he said women are not made to be hit in the breast and face like that. Ali still attended a number of his daughter's fights and later admitted to Layla he was wrong. Ali's daughter Hannah is married to Bellator middleweight fighter Kevin Casey. Hannah wrote about her father. "His love for people was extraordinary. I would get home from school to find homeless families sleeping in our guest room. He'd see them on the street, pile them into his Rolls Royce, and bring them home. He'd buy them clothes, take them to hotels, and pay the bills for months in advance." She also said celebrities like Michael Jackson and Clint Eastwood would often visit Ali. After Ali met a lesbian couple who were fans of his in 1997, he smiled and said to his friend Hauser, "They look like they're happy together." Hauser wrote about the story, but thought that Liz and Ross, the lesbian couple he met, were happy, pleased Muhammad. Ali wanted people to be happy. Ali said that he first heard of the Nation of Islam when he was fighting in the Golden Gloves tournament in Chicago in 1959 and attended his first Nation of Islam meeting in 1961. He continued to attend meetings, although keeping his involvement hidden from the public. In 1962, Clay met Malcolm X, who soon became his spiritual and political mentor. By the time of the first listed fight, Nation of Islam members, including Malcolm X, were visible in his entourage. This led to a story in the Miami Herald just before the fight disclosing that Clay had joined the Nation of Islam